Welcome in to TealTownUSA after lunch, after brunch, after bad weather, after a really crappy game, I think is where we're going to stand with this one. The Sharks fall to the Senators in today's matinee in Ottawa. I lost count. What was the final score? 6-3 or 6-2, I mean? Yeah, 6-2. So let's talk about it. But first, here's the deal, everybody. I don't have a beautiful graphic because Puck Guy usually does this. But welcome in to After Dark. Do us a favor, subscribe to this YouTube channel. We would certainly appreciate that. Follow us on our social media channels, whether it's SoundCloud, Twitter, Instagram, all of those. But I think I'm checking my phone now. Nope, nothing from Puck Guy. So I'm AJ Strong. Joining me right now, Kevin Lacey. How are you today?
I'm happy to finally be able to watch a Sharks game, but am I really happy to finally be able to watch a Sharks game? That was a tough one to get through, especially as the Sharks trended downward through that game. But happy to be on TealTownUSA. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, is this just a warm up for you later?
Yeah, I'll be on Teal Tinted Glasses tonight. So please watch both shows. Please stick around. I hope you all don't get sick of me because I'm going to be here all night, folks.
Sure, there will be many things to talk about. I don't know how long you're going to talk about Hextall or anything, but I'm just saying there's going to be a lot to talk about.
We're in the final hour of Nylander watch, so
that is true. That is true. Can we trade Vlasic for Nylander?
Oh man,
anyway, so the Sharks would. I can't even begin to get into this game. It was just such a nightmare from the beginning. And so the Sharks, fourth of their 5-game road trip, haven't won yet. Haven't won on the road since October 28th, a full calendar month since the Sharks have won a game with arguably the most talented team in franchise history. So you figure that out. And joining us now is Puck Guy 14. I think I'm just going to call out a couple things that I had jotted down. I mean, we'll cover the first period in a second, but I just want to say it took a 5-on-3 for the shot. Now, granted, it was, at 5-on-3 influenced because there was a couple of those tonight where the first goal from Zingle was quote unquote even strength, but it was power play influence as Kane was just coming out of the box. But today took almost a 5-on-3 influenced to score on the worst defensive team in the NHL. That's what it took for the Sharks today. How many more games before we see some sort of significant change? Now you can sit there and, Thornton got injured for a spell. Dylan got injured for a spell. No Timo Meier. This is the time when you step up, and I don't care what's going on. Team defense is garbage, and unfortunately, Jones, you can't put this all on Jones because the Sharks are the ones that the team in front of them are the ones coughing up these opportunities, Eric. But the fact of the matter is you need a goalie to make the occasional stand on his head save, and we're not seeing that actually in the last couple of games from either Jones or Dell.
No, I this team has lost some confidence. I think this team, kind of relied on Jones to be that guy, especially after, letting go of Antti Niemi a couple of years ago. And Jones was that guy. Dell's been that guy too. And they both have had their shares early in the season, and Dell even more recently with his 2 shutouts. But at the same time, it's not just their fault. I mean, yes, you bank on them to make some key saves, and sometimes those softies get through. But to me, I think it's just it's more than just one guy. I think it's got to be the defense. We called out the defense early on. We called out the goaltenders midway through when we start noticing that they've allowed, I think even Bake said it on the broadcast today, the Sharks have allowed fewer than 2 goals in 7 games this season. That's scary to think defensively overall. And then you look at it, and I think I mentioned it on the game against Toronto, where outside, I think Kane and Donskoy assisted on Melker Karlsson's, garbage goal with garbage time. They had gone for a lengthy period of time without goals. And, Jumbo today, Dylan today, and that's it. And then your other previous 5-on-5 goals were from Melker Karlsson. And this is the guy that, a lot of people have been getting on about, okay, he needs to sit a game. Well, now you really can't. Now you really can't. But sorry, don't mean to go on a tangent there, but.
No, it's okay. And I want to just, before I bring Lacey in, I want to address a couple of comments on the chat because this is interactive. And I'm not going to pronounce this right. Nuchier, whatever it is, says the Sharks aren't rolling 4 lines. How do you roll 4 lines when you're consistently down 2-0, 3-0, 4-0 in a game? You can't. You have to put your top guys out there to try to even the score. When you're down 3-0, you're not sitting there going, what we need right now is Suomela, Goodrow, and Melker.
Unless you want to make a statement, unless Peter DeBoer wants to make a statement and say, you guys aren't doing what we pay you to do, so we're going to put the 4th line guys out until you decide to play hard. I noticed.
That's a great point.
I noticed in the 3rd period, Brett Hedekin pointed it out. I missed the start of the 3rd period, and Hedekin mentioned it on the broadcast, and then I saw the end of the 3rd. They were just going through the motions at that point. How are you going to get yourself back into a hockey game if you're just, okay, well, I didn't get that puck. Better luck next time. That's not why they're on this team. You got to go hard 82 games a year plus playoffs, no coasting. And that's what the Sharks are doing right now when they give up on themselves too easily and they take themselves out of games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Put that back, Eric. So again, with the 56 of you currently watching right now, again, welcome into the show. Multiple ways to interact with us, but join the YouTube chat if you will, or hit us up on Twitter using the TealTownUSA hashtag. Follow us on Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook. There you go. So with that, I'm trying to wonder how confused everybody was when they saw the score sheet, and this is a Sharks game, and yet Bodker's on the sheet 3 times. You had to be like, wait, what? I need that as a sounder. Just wait, what? But let's get into, the Ottawa throws up the Zingo goal from Bodker, and you got to give it up. It was a nice goal. It was, it was clean. I don't know that it's just snipe, man. What are you going to do?
And I honestly, I know you guys said Jones needs to come up with big saves, and he does. But I felt that up until the Ryan Zingle goal, he was making a lot of key saves. And it was like, how many more can this guy make? Because eventually he is going to give one up. I'd like to see the goalie who has a 96% save percentage.
Mm-hmm. But it comes down to limiting those dangerous chances, and that's on the defense.
Right. I mean, that was that the goal, or was it the second goal where Vlasic pinched and Braun got burned? That was Harper's goal? I will get to that.
Yeah, that was Harper's. And again, let's Harper, you get your first NHL goal ever, courtesy of the Sharks. You join a long and illustrious list, my friend.
But Kevin, to go off of what you said, Jones looked really good, and in fact, what was it? The stick save in the 2nd period,
paddle save, beaut.
That paddle save was huge. This thing could have gotten out even worse than it already was in the 2nd.
But after the Zingo goal, just a couple minutes later, Sharks power play, then get a 5-on-3 opportunity, and boy, it must have been a fraction of a second after the penalty expired. Because I thought when Thornton scored, I was like, oh, and we still have like a minute and a half left on the power play, but nope, the clock was not our friend on that one. As we said, Harper, after that, 3 minutes later, would pot his first NHL goal. Oh, man. I thought I thought we got rid of that after Niemi was gone, but anyway. And then of course,
I do just want to give Brent Burns some credit though on the goal. It wasn't a 5-on-3 goal, but a lot of players, you're hearing that stick tap from your goalie behind you, like time's expiring on the power. A lot of guys are going to force that shot trying to get that 5-on-3 power play goal so that they can continue as a 5-on-4. He made an amazing pass to Joe Pavelski. Just, the smart play
also
over the force
made a great
play.
pass.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, it sucks that it wasn't a 5-on-3 goal, but I'm glad that he made the right play to get a goal, because that's all we're asking right now is score goals, stop goals.
Yeah. And again, I'm going to point out, though, 5-on-3 influenced. That's what it took to score against the worst NHL defensive team in the league. To finish off the first period, less than a minute after Harper pots his first one, of course, known shark killer Mikkel Bodker. And when I say known shark killer, I meant he used to kill us when he was actually on as a shark. But anyway, from former Shark, the Cobra, Chris Tierney, and Ryan Bodker getting his third this season. So yeah, he's right there, just about where you'd expect him. 3 goals in 3 months. Way to go, Mikkel.
Oh, dang.
And I'm sorry, I was saying that was the first period. I forgot, I'm sorry, I was reading this wrong. There was no goals in the first period. Nothing happened in the first. Everybody was still like, I don't know, trying to wake up from their morning coffee.
So were the Sharks, apparently.
That's what I'm saying.
Except for Jones early on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go into the third, 4 minutes in, Mark Stone makes it a 4-1 game on the power play. And you kind of go, man, it's funny. If you look at over the last 7 games or so, the power play for the Sharks has actually trended up. What was it? Was it against Vancouver? They went like 3 of 4. So it's trended up, but conversely, the penalty kill has actually trended down after like killing it. They'd like killed off like 18 straight or something. I mean, it was a great run. And now I think that like the last 3 games, they've coughed up at least one every game. But they coughed up one to Mark Stone. Okay, I'm not even going to try. Kevin, can you?
The empty netter.
No. Can you? I'm not even going to. Well, we'll talk about the. Okay, yes, the empty netter. Who was that scored by, Kevin?
wait. Give me a number because I've already forgotten.
I got it. It's
Payarvi?
Magnus Payarvi.
Oh, Magnus Payarvi or Payarvi Svensson. Yeah.
Hey, I was close. God damn it. Eric, what do you think about going full Patrick Waugh and pulling your goalie with 5.5 minutes left? And honestly, at that point, it was, I tweeted it out that it's, it was, remember those old coffee commercials where it's like, we've replaced his Starbucks with Folgers crystals. Let's see if he notices. That's what I felt like at this point in the game. It was like, we've replaced Martin Jones with an empty net. Let's see if anyone score.
But here's the interesting thing. What was it? Wednesday in Toronto, we were down by 3. PDB puts out his 4th line right after the goal. And I guess we basically said, okay, forget it. Now, in this game, we're down by 3 with 5 minutes to go, and you pull the goalie. Okay, you know what? I don't have a problem with that if you had momentum going. But that's true. Had no momentum going, really. I mean, maybe you do
That's a good point,
with maybe you do it with like 4 minutes to go to maybe get some offensive zone attacks. Maybe you feel it coming, and then you pull Jones. But it just, oh man, it's and that's one of the things I think complicates and frustrates Sharks fans right now is that okay, we're essentially putting out Radil on the 4th line. You're down by. You're down by 3 goals. What happens? Melker Karlsson scores the teaser goal. You're only down by, 2 late. Who knows if you had put out, Kane, Donskoy, Pavelski right after they get a chance, boom. Then it's a 1-goal game and Toronto's feeling it. And Toronto, blew many leads last season too. So
well,
it's one of those things like okay, are we going to go for it or are we just going to say screw it?
I like the comments on the chat right now. Everything kind of focused on Vlasic because he was just interviewed. When Vlasic is a -2, things are bad. I like that. Yeah, thanks, Lace. And then Vlasic saying, "There's no level of concern. Remain calm. All is well."
Thank you, Kevin Bacon and Animal House.
Yeah, I think that's like where Vlasic is trying to go. And Nikki pointing out, if anything should be of concern to Vlasic, it's his own game. You can't argue with that. Vlasic playing arguably his worst season in Teal right now. Him and Braun used to be the most reliable pair for the team over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. And now they're just getting torched left and right. It almost makes you wonder, like, geez, should they go back to Carlson and Vlasic at some point? I mean, could it? And how many trust the process phrases will PDB say today, Sleepy? Hey, you know what? Don't you remember the good old days of T-Mac and our game? We need more polish. There wasn't enough polish on our game. It's polish. So,
but you know what? I'm sorry, but I love Vlasic, and I actually reached out to his wife to get recipes for my dog. But if Vlasic's saying what Don Julio's saying, that there's no level of concern, you are now winless in your last 4 games. You've given up 18 goals in this whole road trip, while only scoring 6.
Is it 18?
And I'm playing off.
Is it 18 goals or is it 20?
Well, no matter what it is,
too many.
It's way too many, and you're getting to the point where if you're saying there's no level of concern, you're about to be out of a playoff spot if Vegas wins tonight. So maybe that should be a wake-up call for a team that's supposed to have Stanley Cup aspirations.
And what really is just not optimistic about this is the fact that you can tell that they're not confident. Peter DeBoer just said it in his presser that the team is not confident right now and they need to figure it out. Yeah, okay, get your swag back, whatever. But what has led to this? Like, they shouldn't be. The structure is not there right now. How can this team not have structure? Going into these last few games, of course, the penalty kill was excellent. Lately, not so much. But overall, the penalty killing was top 2 in the league. And yet, we're one of the worst defensive. The Sharks are one of the worst defensive teams in the league. Obviously, the tools are there. Why is that not consistent between the penalty kill and 5-on-5? Like,
this is what I'm saying. How do you have like one of the worst defensive teams? You've got 2 freaking Norris Trophy winners on this team. Yeah. You're playing like this.
And hands down, probably one of the best defensive defensemen in the league.
Yeah.
Remember when I'm sorry, Kevin. Remember when everybody was comparing the Sharks defense versus the Nashville defense during preseason? Yeah.
Good
Over to you, Kevin.
Yeah, Mark Vlasic and Justin Braun were really bad tonight. Dang it! Today.
No!
He owes.
They were really bad today. I mean, Mark Vlasic at least twice pinched on goals and hung Justin out to dry. And as you guys have mentioned on the show, every episode, pretty much, Justin Braun is just not skating at his normal level this season. And the minuses are piling up. But I've been to a handful of Sharks games this season, and I feel like a common denominator is that the forwards are having to come back and bail out the defense 5-on-5 because the defense are way too up in the play. Like,
and I remember that being a problem with the Sharks a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I thought we had gotten rid of that. And quickly on the chat, 840 Hyperfade, we never should have traded Bodker or Tierney. Do you remember Mikhail Bodker on this team? It was not good, my friend. It was not good. But I want to hit something real quick, though. We've talked about Melker Karlsson. We talked about that fourth line, Suomela, Goodrow. Kevin, you are a big time follower of the CUDA.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you think Perron has not been called up yet Radil remains while being pretty just,
Sure. I think it's all a matter of age and development at this point. Like Francis Perron coming into this season had 10 total goals in his whole career, and he's already pretty much at that point now. But he's also been doing it with Dylan Gambrell and Vincent Praplin as his line mates.
Well, then
now,
can
recently, what I love what Royce go ahead.
So can we just take those three guys, Gambrell, Praplin, and Perron, and just completely replace
now
the bottom of the fourth line?
It's not a bad idea when you call up your whole line. But it's just, do they have the roster space right now? They need to feign some injuries in order to make that happen. I don't know. Right now, what I like what Royce Sommer's doing is he's got Perron on a line with, I can't remember who's centering, Alex True and John Martin, because he's trying to see if Perron can keep this offense up with other line mates. So I really like that. As far as Lukas Radil goes, I don't think he's looked bad for the Sharks, but he's a 28-year-old player, and it's now or never. First-year player in North America because he's been in Europe his whole career. So it's now or never. Like, if he isn't an NHL regular by the end of this year, he's not ever going to be, because, I mean, he's 28 years old.
Yeah.
So.
And has, since going back down to the CUDA, has Charche looked, any better?
Charche's been playing third line really for them, which is what I expected. I mean, he's an exceptional defensive center. So he's been good for his role, but he's not out there to be a big time playmaker or anything like that. So he's been fine, but I'm not seeing anything that says, wow, bring that guy back up.
Yeah. Well, and then I think finally, when we talk about the CUDA there for a second, at this point, it's, it's pretty consistent where it's like, okay, if you're going to continue you can continue Carlson, Dylan, Braun, Vlasic, Burns. We've seen Ryan. We've seen did Ryan even play today? God, he got 16 minutes, and I don't remember hearing his name called once.
The funny thing was, in the part of the game that I was listening on the radio, Rusanowski said, "Oh, Joachim Ryan's back," but he had this this real excitement, like, I forgot he was even playing, and there's Joachim Ryan. And seriously, that's the first time I've heard his name in a long time.
That's what I'm saying. And he got more minutes tonight than Brendan Dillon.
Dylan was hurt. Actually, I guess the key to the game was to get hurt and miss the start of the second period, and then you'll score in this game.
Evidently.
I guess that was the key. I don't know. But
I like that.
But yeah, I mean, I guess you want Joachim Ryan to be playing those minutes where he's not noticeable. That's a good thing, but still, man, oh man.
He's like an NHL official. If you don't hear his name, he's doing an okay job. And the best comment that I've seen so far, and it was actually in our private chat here between us, is Lacey watched the PDV interview and said, put nothing new from PDV. And I was just like, hold on, you mean in the interview or like on the ice?
Oh, dang. Dang.
Because it's been a lot of the same recently. We should finish up the third, though.
Yeah.
Goodrow, initially they said Dilly got it, but now it's saying Goodrow from Dylan and Ryan. Hey, Joachim Ryan. No wonder Ruzanowski mentioned him. He got a point tonight to make it 5-2. And then a minute later, Bobby Ryan from CC, and yet Bodker yet again. I mean, Bodker with a 3.9 against the Sharks. And Bobby Ryan, geez, I didn't even know that guy was still in hockey, to be honest. Like,
well, he was
Anaheim. Everybody talking about how great he was, and then he went to Ottawa.
And they talked about, well, if you're going to trade Carlson, it's going to have to include Bobby Ryan.
Yeah.
Did I say tonight? Chris is saying I said tonight. Okay,
I think you did, but I didn't realize it till right now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we both. Oh, you know what though? If none of the other people that I'm speaking with notice, doesn't count.
Well, no. The reason why I wasn't looking was because I was looking at Mark-Edouard Vlasic's stats He's only had, and I know people are like, oh, plus minus is such a
that's only Chris who does that.
But Marc-Edouard Vlasic's only had one minus year in his NHL career, and currently he's at -10. Now, the last 2 seasons he was a +9 and a +4. However, in the past he's been a +15, +12, +31. The shortened season he was a +5. But the only year he was a negative was his second year in the NHL at -12. So it's been quite interesting on that part.
There are some people who will say Justin Braun's anchoring Vlasic down because of his lack of mobility, but I honestly think Mark Vlasic just needs to step it up himself. And I'm a huge fan of him. I have his freaking jersey. But man, both of those guys, I don't know what they got to do, but just like a lot of players on this team, get it going. Brett Hedican said, look in the mirror and then go. Like, that's really what it is. Go.
And you bring up Hetty. We're still waiting for that big response from them after losing in the first period to Vegas.
Yep. Very true.
Okay, and we're getting some quotes in now from the tweet. Eric Carlson saying, it's going to be nice to move on now. And I'm excited to play tomorrow Montreal and hopefully sort this mess out.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So, we've so in the last couple of games, now you've got Carlson saying sort this mess out. A couple of games ago, you have Couture saying, it takes time. It doesn't take 26 games.
Yeah.
And Doug Wilson, from what I understand, took off after the last game versus Toronto to go out to see the team. And there was a great shot of him during this game of him kind of doing a little bit of an eye roll.
That was when Bodker scored.
What a shock. So with all that being said, I mean, okay, you know what? I'm going to throw, we haven't done this in forever. We haven't done this since pucknology. So I'm going to throw this out there now. And this one's for you, Chris. It's time for the false dichotomy.
Oh boy.
So,
wow, we're really going deep.
We'll take one side. Kura will take the other. With Doug Wilson being at the game, this team being an absolute shit show over this entire road trip, I will put it out there. You can take the pro, Lacey. You can take the con, Eric, if you wish.
Okay.
But with this team being the way it is, we've heard from the players now. I'll start with you, Kura. Doug Wilson is there because PDB has lost this team and changes are afoot. You will take the pro position.
Absolutely, changes are afoot. Why this team has underachieved so far this year, even though, yes, they were in first place and everything. But I think a lot of people expected gangbusters out of the gate, like taking on like Nashville, or in this case right now, Colorado and Winnipeg in the West. And they haven't. And something's got to give. And seeing the comments from Couture on Wednesday, and then the comments today, although Vlasic says, nothing to worry about, something's got to give. Something has to give. You can't keep playing this and everything. And to quote Doug Wilson from 11 years ago, we can't sit idly and say, see you in September.
All right, Lacey, now tell us why there will be no changes. Everything is fine. We're just waiting. Oh, no. This is the first time I've ever seen Lacey speechless, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, Kevin,
the only thing I can really, Pierre DeBoer led this hockey team to the Stanley Cup Finals in its first year, and he absolutely knows what he's doing. I'm not going to go on a rant about Peter DeBoer, to be honest. But these guys have been there, and they know what it takes to move to hopefully a cup. I don't know. It
was a good try, man. It was a good try, man. I didn't start you off well, but it was a good try.
No.
And
I got
PDB. If I could say for a minute.
Gen X told us this 3 years ago.
I said it too.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah, but you didn't make the fuss that Gen X did.
That's true. That's true.
But he told us, man, he's like, hey, PDB is first year. He's money. After that, it goes right down the crapper. And it is so funny how his time with the Devils is literally mirroring his time with the Sharks. First year, go to the final. Next 2 seasons, you don't do anything really remarkable. And your 4th year, I mean, where are we at now? What was today? What was 24th game? 25th or 26th game?
27th.
27th. Well, he got canned after 34 games his 4th year with the Devils. So you got about 7 more, bro. Enjoy. No, I'm kidding. I don't know, but who is it that got who was shown the door like a day before Christmas or 2 days? When did? What was that? I don't know that it was a head coach. It was somebody.
I was going to say in my time hop, it just had Gerard Gallant from 2 years ago.
Oh,
was that the one you got shown the door like the day before Christmas or something?
Well, it was exactly 2 years ago, like 2 days ago or something like that. But so it wasn't entirely Christmas. But I do think you're right. There was someone. I do think. Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing is on my birthday, December 26, 2014. DeBoer was fired.
Oh, there you go. Maybe it was
from New Jersey.
Oh, that's okay. That must have been what I was saying. I knew it happened like right around Christmas. Chris in the chat stopped feeding Patrick's ego. That ego is never hungry, man. It's never hungry.
Anyways, go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
I just want to say I'm really glad that Doug Wilson went out and is trying to get a firsthand look at what's going on with this team. I'm sure more so firsthand look in the locker room right now and find out what's happening there. Because to me, this is the most down I've been about the Sharks since the 2002-2003 season. And if you recall, that was a season where the Sharks on paper at that time had the best roster they've ever had in franchise history with Don Foose and Nolan and Solani and yada, yada, yada. And they eventually fired Daryl Sutter and blew up the team. And then the very next year, to me, iced the best team in Sharks history. And
what's 3 or 4. And it's funny you point that out. Because wasn't it the following season the entire year was lost to a lockout?
And then the year after that, they lost the year.
Yeah. And what's really what's really funny though, there's a lot of people and I'm not talking about like general fans spouting off on social media, but like there are some well-respected, well-known writers that all say that year, that 2005, right, was the lockout. That was the year that the Sharks probably would have won it all.
And I believe that because that 2014 was amazing.
In not to rehash history too, but don't forget 94-95 where the Sharks came within a crossbar to going into the conference final and likely the Stanley Cup final because it would have destroyed Vancouver. They had to deal with another lockout, and they kind of had to blow up the team after the season came back.
Yeah, 95-96 was a bad year.
So we're gonna we've kind of like dressed this game up. Bizarrely enough, I didn't see any post game from Couture, which bums me out. But
he's probably so depressed over everything. I mean, he does get a little pouty, and he's probably just tired of doing these interviews at this point.
He might be talking with Doug Wilson right now. So okay, so when we give you the C next year, what do you want to? No,
maybe.
But I saw Mr. Chango in the chat because we're going to throw it to the chat now before we wrap this up and look forward tomorrow to Montreal. The Sharks need a right winger and a 4th line center. Well, the right winger we need has been injured the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So in Timo Meier and a 4th line center. That I won't argue with you on that. Now the Sharks do have some line issues, and let's cover this quickly. We've seen Gambra, we've seen Suomela, Goodrow for a time centered the 4th line. It just feels like they just can't find that right piece in there for that team to at the very least be even on the plus minus. Like just go out there, kill your penalties, shut down the other team, just keep it in their zone, do what you need to do. They haven't found that out. But what do you guys think with the lines right now? Because we've seen Pavs with Kane and Donskoy, obviously, and now I'm not talking about today and yesterday because Meyer's been out, but typically what it's been: Pavs, Kane and Donskoy, Couture with Hurdle and Meyer, and then Jumbo with Sorensen, LeBanc, and then the previously mentioned guys. Is it time to like maybe say, you know what? Thornton has played enough games. He looks good. Is it time to put Thornton back with Pavelski and Kane? Move Suomela back with Donskoy and Sorensen? Because those three lines, those were working really well.
I've always been on the split the Joe's up bandwagon. But I don't disagree with you, AJ, because they need to shovel everything right now. So why not? Like, and I have been pretty disappointed with Antti Suomela this season. I expected him to do a lot more things than he did. I was really high on him, and it hasn't happened. And him being in a checking role at this point is not helping him either. So if you want to put him with Donskoy,
he did score tonight.
Huh?
He did score, but yeah, power play.
He
play.
tipped
I
the
know
Dylan
power
one in,
play,
right?
Power play. But
yeah,
anyway,
yeah, but still, yeah, blow it all up, put it back, with the reset button.
Well, the funny thing is in the chat, the answer, no, Ian, no, dear God, no, Alex, no, Bomb Squad, no, Joe's, no. And then all of a sudden, yeah, try Thornton on the top line. And then Alden, why the hell not? Nothing else is working. Suomela hasn't transitioned well. Sharks need speed on all four lines to be effective. And what brings speed more than Joe Thornton?
Okay, let me ask you this, though. Would the forwards be fine if the defense was fine? Because that, to me, I think defense is that's number one issue right now.
Fantastic point.
I say that's completely a great point by you. I also say with the lines, guys, it's like we complain a lot about PDB going into a line blender, and now it's like nothing seems to be working. I hate to say that you need a fourth line guy, but that wouldn't be fair to say.
Oh shit! Okay, really? Although I do think I brought this up with Kevin Kurz last week, but yeah, like who knew that fair was like the key that unlocked the fourth line? That would and Kurz mentioned like would have been nice to maybe throw him a year deal at 1.2 or something like that. But I think it was, and just like Kurz said, it's a case of wanting to give the younger guys the opportunity. I think you looked at let's be honest, going into coming out of training camp, Lacey, who were the three guys that everybody was kind of like looking at to take over the center position? You had the two spots open because Tierney was gone. So you were looking at Suomela, Charche, and Gambrell.
Yep.
Gambrell going in seemed to like have the line on that spot and was outplayed during training camp. So
yep. I will say though, on the Eric Fair front, at the time that the Sharks decided to move on from Eric Fair, they still had Chris Tierney, and Erik Karlsson was way down the road. So
great point.
But going after Eric Fair would be perfect right now. Mm-hmm. But I still don't think a fourth line center is going to fix the issue. I really think that defense needs to figure things out, because they can't have the forwards bailing them out in the defensive zone.
And how do you have two Norris defensemen that when they're on the ice together, they have a minus? And it's not a small minus. It's a big minus. They're like -7, -8 together. Now, again, okay, cue Chris talking about how plus minus is a bullshit stat. I get that. But I'm just saying, two Norris defensive, it's just funny to me.
But a couple things in the chat, originally from Bomb Squad 450R, they didn't want to give Fair the money because they're running for John Tavares.
Yeah, another great point.
So, all I'm saying, Fair was the shit. No one knew his role and did it well. to me, I think a lot of these guys that are on the third and fourth line have aspirations to go to be the second line or the first line down the road. And I think Tierney was kind of like that sense because he was in the fourth line for a while, getting stuck with John Scott for
we as Sharks fans kept waiting for Chris Tierney to take that step to become the second line center.
Hey, 40 points last season, and I think you would consider, like, you know, when Couture eventually makes that jump, you could have made a case that Tierney would slot in after that as the second guy to replace Couture.
Yep.
But I mean, you talk about bottom six. Is there anybody that you can talk more good things about other than this guy right here?
Yeah. How have we not brought him up? Like,
this is what I'm saying, man.
I mean, Marcus
Sorensen. Excuse me while I just turn around for a minute.
Big stretch that out. There you go.
Stretch.
I mean, but Marcus Sorensen, he didn't play. He didn't get any points tonight. But even after his stupid move by what was that? Falk,
Justin Falk.
You know, checks Jumbo into the boards, and you know how fragile Jumbo is right now. Sorensen, who, my God, I think he was more. If you did a tail of the tape between these two fires, Sorensen was going to get owned.
Yeah.
But my goodness, kudos to you for defending him.
Let me tell you, it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog.
Yeah, and that guy. I mean, obviously, I don't have like exact info, but I could just tell he put on a lot of muscle in the off season. He's still the smallest guy on this roster, but he does not back down on the boards, in the corners, or in any situation. And today he proved that. So, I mean, to fight a guy who's 6'5", 230, I mean, Marcus Sorensen, 5'11", 170.
On a good day. Yeah. And Don Julio pointing out that Bodker was the first star today. Of course he was, because that's so Sharks. That's so Sharks. Why wouldn't he be?
If that wasn't post-Teal syndrome, folks, nothing will be.
But yeah, Sorensen today also 100% in the dot. I'm sure that's because he only took one faceoff, but still, But still, I'll take that. But I have loved Sorensen, and I tweeted this out earlier. If you're someone who's been with the Sharks for the last 20 years, 18 years, whatever it's been. I used to be, well, I still am, but I was a massive Mark Smith fan. Now, not the most talented guy by any stretch of the imagination, but the guy, when you watched his game, it was all hustle, all heart, all the time. And even when for a brief stretch, they put him on the top line with Joe Thornton. And I want to say like maybe Chichu was on the other side. But Smitty would regularly, and this is back before no-touch icing, he would regularly beat out icing.
I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you brought it up.
That guy was just all heart, all hustle.
And now, not just that, he'd set up goals because he'd beat out the. In fact, probably like half the goals he got points on were because he beat out icing.
It would have. I would really love to know where Mark Smith his NHL point total would be if they handed out tertiary assists, because he was, man, did he start a lot of stuff that I don't think he got credit for. And I just go back to it. It's like Mark Smith, Marcus Sorensen, both initials MS, both guys named Mark. The truth is out there, people. But you had a question, Lacey.
Well, okay, so we probably should touch up on the whole Erik Karlsson, is he bad in the locker room thing that Gino Reda put out there the other day. Oh, man. Because, he walked away from the press conference in Toronto, which I felt was rightful for
Who was that? Was that King Campbell?
I don't know who asked the question, but I know Gino Reda was stirring the pot saying, oh, he was terrible in the locker room and the players don't like him and blah, blah, blah. And so, you can say that now because he's not in a Canadian market.
Oh, hold on. You're talking about the guy from Sportsnet?
Yeah.
Who was saying, that people are going, now the locker room in Ottawa is going from a dictatorship to a democracy.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you guys, well, first, do you believe any of that? And secondly, do you think that if Doug Wilson's there to make a culture change, like I think he might be there for, is that a culture change to benefit Karlsson, or is it just going to be more of the same? We're just going to trade guys, but keep the same culture kind of thing. Like just move a couple guys out and bring a couple other guys in for the same thing. Or does Karlsson start a total different trend?
See, the thing that gets me is, you know, the whole dictatorship to democracy thing. That's one thing. The thing that irked me is them saying that I guess sometimes the team just didn't practice because Karlsson didn't feel like it. Like, I don't know why the other, you know, 22 guys can't go out there and still practice. I don't get that. But and Mr. Chango saying fake news on locker room issue with Karlsson. Yeah, it's one of the. How long did we hear that Owen Nolan was a cancer in the Sharks locker room?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. I don't buy any of it, but it is a point that got brought up this week. So
no, I can imagine that. And ladies and gentlemen, you can bet that Kevin Lacey with teal tinted glasses will be speaking about this later tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that I don't know, but I will say we talked to Drew Remenda, shameless plug. Go back and listen to it about 2 weeks ago, day before the Edmonton game, 12 hours before T-Mac got fired, unfortunately, because that would have been fun to talk about. But anyway, during the conversation with Drew Remenda, I asked him the chances that he thought Erik Karlsson would re-sign with San Jose, and he said like 98.9. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I put the chances of Erik Karlsson re-signing in San Jose at about 8% right now.
That was a question I was going to bring up on TTG, but I do agree with you. I mean,
when you call a place your forever home,
what was that?
When you call the place that you just left your forever home, despite that you left kind of embroiled in controversy and everything like that, still, when you refer to a place as your forever home and you're only contractually obligated to be here for a year, I feel like we're going to lose Karlsson EK 65, especially if the season, you know, if he doesn't start seeing massive success here between now and like the All-Star break, yeah, I think he's kind of like, you know, this San Jose, this place is a jinx. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yep. You're go ahead, Puckeye.
No, you guys make a bunch of great points, and
well, yeah, that's what we do. Have you?
That's true. That's true. You know, I haven't been talking to you guys all season for you guys to make bad points, but it's like, yeah, when you forever home, I get that, because you know what, Owen Nolan did that, and he got traded to Toronto, and then he bounced all around, but he came back to San Jose. You know, so
Brian Campbell.
Then you have Brian Campbell, and
start on Billy Guerin.
But here's my question: do we talk about DW if they don't get Karlsson signed and they let him go for nothing?
I'm still of the belief that Doug Wilson has dirty pictures of Hasso in bad positions or something. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. Wilson just, I don't know that Hasso's like an absentee landlord. And I feel like as long as they keep going to the playoffs every year, even if they get knocked out in the first or second round, it's like, oh, well, that's a sign of success and blah, blah. I mean, Hasso's here, you know what? I think legally he can only be in this country like 100 days out of the year, if that. So, and I'm sure he's got a lot more going on. So I don't know. For him, the Sharks might be a tax write-off. Who knows? But I do want to address something from one Mr. Ian Reed in the chat saying Ottawa is not going to pay Erik Karlsson, though. No, I didn't say that Erik Karlsson was going to go back to Ottawa.
I think it goes to a place. Sorry to cut you off there.
No,
I goes to a place near Ottawa that, you know, like Buffalo,
Montreal.
Yeah, I know who wants to give out money.
Yeah, that's yeah, but the whole thing is, dude, Toronto has a buttload of cap space. They could afford it
for now.
But here,
yeah,
for now, because
13 minutes, by the way.
That's right. You got 12 minutes. William Nylander.
Dude, I feel like Lacey has a stopwatch on his wall right now, just like Nylander countdown.
Nylander countdown.
Why did my clock stop?
meanwhile, Leafs fans are like, Okay, come on, make up your. Can you just sign already? It's like 12 minutes. It's like I'm looking at Leafs fans that are on my timeline. Yeah, I'm looking at like Dangle and Adam Wild, and they're like getting all the gifts of faces sweating and everything about what's going on.
Eric, I'd like to phone a friend.
Like, go ahead, AJ. Who would you like to call?
I would like to call the coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, please.
Hello, Gerard Gallant. This is Regis Philbin from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, shit. We got into impression hour. It's time to wrap up, everybody.
Well, we have to do the wraparound, though.
Oh, see, I didn't bring any of the sounders or anything because I jumped in late. So.
And I'm going to egg him on and say, do the wraparound with Regis Philbin.
Oh,
no,
Oh, you know what? No, I'm okay with this because you want to see how fast this wraparound is because the game started at 10 a.m. Pacific.
There's only one game.
So, Canucks are up 1-0 in Vancouver. Back to you, Eric.
That's right. Ben Horvat with the goal.
Oh man. That's your fault.
God damn it.
But, later on, you have the Leafs Wild at 4.
Dude, they all have the internet, dude. They all have the internet. They understand what the schedule is. We don't need to get into it.
But don't forget, Barracuda also play later tonight.
There you go. Now that's a game worth talking about. Who are the Cuda playing tonight, Lace?
What's up? They are playing the Stockton Heat at 6 o'clock.
Those have been 2 good games this season.
Oh, yeah, they have. And Stockton's trending upward big time. Like, they were atrocious and had no defense, and the goaltending was hung out to dry. Hey, that sounds familiar. And Stockton has rebounded. I think they've won 6 of their last 8 games, but the Barracuda have the second best points percentage in the AHL as of right now. So it really should be a good game, probably a high-scoring game because every time the Barracuda and Stockton play in Stockton, it's like 7-5. It makes no sense.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I mean, the Cuda have played a lot of games where it's like, I mean, again, you want to like replace some of the Cuda guys or replace some of the Sharks with the Cuda guys. It's like the Cuda are consistently like scoring 4, 5, 6 goals. Yeah, that would be great. I love Alden's remark in the chat right now. It says Nylander currently sipping on a cold beer and hitting refresh on Twitter.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, the Barracuda game should be good. But we do want you to tune in to Teal Tinted Glasses at 7 o'clock. Yes. Maybe we'll try and time it during first intermission. I don't know, but
Oh, this is going to be one of those warped versions of TTG where it's like, okay, so during the first intermission, we're going to go live. We're going to talk about the NHL for 15 minutes. And then you get to just watch us watch
the game. Hey,
Kevin, all I'm saying is I better see Barracuda celebrations on air when they score. Just saying.
Breaking Nylander to Nashville for PK. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Unless you're saying Nylander to Nashville for their penalty kill, if that's what you're trying to say. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's finish it up.
Yep.
The Sharks head to Montreal for the final, the 5th game of a 5-game roadie before they come home for a single game and then go right back on the road. Love you, schedule makers, you sons of. So anywho, will the Sharks win on the road throughout the rest of 2018? Remains to be seen at this point. I don't know anymore. Like, and Montreal is not lighting the world on fire. They're kind of like middle of the road now. Remember,
which is still better than they were last year.
Yes, this is true. So Bibeau should start against Montreal. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with Cornash starting the next game for the Sharks,
that would,
to be honest with you.
Honestly, be more likely just because Bibeau has to pass through waivers again to be sent back down.
Yeah.
That was a good point.
And of course, but you know what, though? It doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen, because Montreal wants to win, which means they're starting Niemi, which just guarantees the victory. I'm just saying. Thank you for that, Al. But
of course, Al.
Yeah. So, Niemi will probably get a shutout tomorrow. And Doug Wilson, enjoy that while you're in Eastern Canada. And we'll see what happens when you guys come back and play, what is it, Carolina on the 5th?
Yeah. Carolina on the 5th.
So, yeah. So that's it, kids. We're going to face Montreal tomorrow. We'll see if somebody can put a stop to this bleeding hemorrhage, what it is. Really, we're going to pimp this again? Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you want a job in concessions, be an all-star ambassador.
Well, it's more than that, but log on to adecousa.com/NHL or call 408-556-4924. The reason why I put that on is
spin a yarn.
Today is the first day for NHL fan voting for the All-Star captains, and the Sharks have 8 options. Personally, I think we should all get together and vote for one. And at this,
because that's all we're going to get is one.
And at this desperate scenario, do we vote Erik Karlsson for the sympathy vote?
I don't think Erik Karlsson's been bad this season for the Sharks. I still think he needs to shore it up defensively, but overall, I look at him playing a lot harder than the rest of the defensemen this year. So I still think Logan Couture's got to be our representative, though. That'd be a shame if Logan does not go to the All-Star game. And I really think the Sharks are only going to get one All-Star,
which is pretty scary.
No, I think Couture should be.
Oh, that is a good one. If Pavelski continues on this pace, though, I think he might get a nod. But the fact that you have 2 Norris Trophy winners on your team and none of them.
So here's the thing, guys. Well, there's 8 Sharks on the ballot to be your All-Star captain. You have Burns, Couture, Jones, Kane, Karlsson, Pavelski, Thornton.
Jones and Kane are on this list right now?
Yes.
Oy. Did this list come out after like game 4 for the Sharks?
Usually it's done before the season even starts.
Oh, well.
And this just came out this morning. So you have 7 Sharks on the roster, mainly because the game's in San Jose this year.
Mm-hmm. See, this is the thing that pisses me off, though, and this is something that's pissed me off for quite some time. And this is not just NHL specific. This goes with like baseball too, is the fact that you're going to get a guy who plays 6 weeks of hockey. He might have a really good 6 weeks and he somehow gets voted in or somehow is an all-star, and the vote occurs. He's an all-star. And by the time the game is actually played, the guy's just driven off a cliff.
Yeah.
And that was nowhere close to being an all-star season. And I get that it's the whole thing of like, well, we include the 3 months of the previous season to put, well, then it shouldn't be by year. It should be, they're a 2017, 2018 all-star, not a 2018 all-star. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, I would rather the hockey would do some sort of nod at the end of the season, similar to baseball, like Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, something like that recognizes that this particular player actually had a solid season, not a solid, 8 weeks. But that's just me, people.
So that being said, which person should Sharks fans vote for? Because I think personally, you need to get on one, because do we really want Drew Doughty as the captain of the Pacific Division playing in San Jose?
Nobody else on LA is going to
but I mean, this is essentially you're just picking one player from each division to be the captain, and I think it would be pretty bad if it ends up being somebody that's not a Shark.
It's gonna be, dude. At this point, I'm like voting for Besser or Pedersen or somebody.
I was going to say, let's vote for Nikita Kucherov because of the trade that Doug Wilson's about to go make to get him, right?
Oh, hey, now. Okay, and with that, we're drunk. So,
right, man.
So let's wrap this one up. Lacey, where can the people find you on the social media channels?
Well, tonight you can find me on Teal Tinted Glasses at 7 o'clock. Follow at Teal Tinted Pod. I'm at Kevin Lacey 22. And I will say, though, even though it was a depressing Sharks game tonight, again, I had a really good time being on the show with you guys. And I hope everyone who watched will subscribe. And I hope you guys found it to be therapeutic. So thanks for having me.
All right, and breaking news per Darren Drager, 6 years for Nylander as a Toronto Maple Leaf.
You're kidding me.
That's what's breaking.
Oh,
and if Darren Drager
and
says it,
Leafs-
you know it's true.
Yep, we're definitely getting those in now.
So
I'm just trying to make sure that
six years,
six
we-
years.
we're confirming that the Twitter account that tweeted this has a blue check mark next to it.
It's not Darren Drecker.
It does, and it's not an old tweet like Hockey Jerks got me a number of times,
Or it's not Darren Drager spelled with 3 R's and Darren.
and it's only been up for 1 minute, and he has 1,900 retweets on that.
So
tweet.
I think that's probably
and Chris
confirmed.
Johnston just said it's a shade under 7 million per season. So that to me says the Maple Leafs won, and I'm glad for them.
Yep.
I'm glad they set a precedence.
I got to be honest with you. Right now, Toronto's my favorite to win the cup.
Don't tell
we
Nick
won't hear the
Kyrgios
end of that.
I'm just saying. But anyway, so Eric, where the people can find you on the Soch?
On PuckGuy14 on the Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully we're not drowning our sours out tomorrow. My gosh, no. But stay tuned to us. Make sure you subscribe down below. Make sure you hit that bell when we will notify you when we go on the air. We do this after every game, and then we throw in a little tidbits here and there, like little specials or Pucknologist that's coming out soon as well. And again, tonight, 7 p.m. Teal tinted glasses. Check it out.
Let's see. And tomorrow we'll have more breaking news when PDB is officially fired. No, I don't think that's going to happen on the road trip. I think that'll happen on the plane ride back from Montreal. I am AJ_Strong on Twitter, on Instagram. Also doing some stuff for TealTownUSA on the TealTownUSA Instagram. So again, to echo Eric's statements, smash the subscribe button, follow us on Twitter, follow our social media channels, SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all those fun things. And with that, we will see you after Montreal tomorrow. But for those of you who just can't get enough, Teal tinted glasses tonight at 7:00. Lacey, Ian, and some total jerk. And I don't know, with Nylander signing, I'm just saying, if you wish and just pray hard enough, Lacey, Kura, and maybe a couple other people might give you an after dark.
Oh my!
So with that, I will turn it over to Kura to get us out.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Until tomorrow, maybe. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real teal. Get on fire.
It doesn't count when you do a stupid accent, dude.
All right, fine. Keep it real. Keep it
No,
teal.
no. At least do a hockey accent, eh?
Oh, okay.
Well,
keep it real. Keep it teal. And keep it real teal when you get those pucks into the corner. Eh? Thank you.
Pucks in deep.
Pucks
For the
in deep.
boys, yeah?
Yeah, bud.